Hello, church. I've got to come clean and say this week I haven't had a lot of time to prepare for this message. But I think the Lord's given me something to share. I've had family visiting this week, and I'm sure everybody understands that could be a challenge. It's a wonderful time, but it's also a time when perhaps we strive to be on our best behavior, and yet we're stressed and don't measure up to how we'd like to be. But that being said, I had a wonderful visit, and I don't know how you all do your devotionals or Bible studies. I usually try to do mine in the morning, and I read a couple of devotionals. So this morning, as I was reading, I read the golden rule for understanding spirituality is not intellect, but obedience. And I thought about how true that is. We can have all the head knowledge, and yet God has nothing to work with because we don't obey. And then I got to thinking about something I read on the 16th as I was going through Proverbs, and it said, "Commit your works to the Lord, and your thoughts will be established." Well, obedience and disobedience and all of our fallen nature, I think, usually comes through the mind. That's where Satan attacks us. And we think when God tells us to do something, maybe a nudge of the Holy Spirit, or we know what we should do, sometimes we think we know better. And as I was reading that verse in Proverbs 16, "Commit your works to the Lord, and your thoughts will be established," down below it had a little commentary. And it said, "Commitment. Dedication is the foundation of commitment. Without it, the believer is unable to offer God anything else." And it referred to Romans 12, 1 and 2. And that reminded me of a time early in our marriage when I was separated from my wife, and we had been having a lot of problems communicating, and mostly because I was a control freak. Now, don't get me wrong, I was saved. I believe I was saved. I have no doubt about it. But the truth is, I wasn't living the way I should in some areas of my life. And one was my marriage. And so while I was a good Christian, I think, in some ways, in other ways, I had blocked off portions of my life where God didn't have any control. I had control. And at that time, when we'd been separated for a number of months, and I had done everything I could within my own power to reconcile our marriage, I was challenged by a pastor. It wasn't my local church pastor, it was a different pastor, but I think he challenged me in a way that I had never been challenged before. And that was, he asked me if I would be willing to do what Romans 12, 1 through 2 says. And I'll just read the verse. "I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable to God, which is your reasonable service." So he was asking me to formally write out a declaration to God and to present my body as a living sacrifice once and for all. I thought about that, but not long, because it really struck me as, hey, maybe this is what's wrong with my life. Maybe this is what I need to do, is to make that commitment to God. And in the years since, I can see that with some people, I think that probably happens when the moment they get saved. But I think other people perhaps get saved and they belong to the Lord, but they're not totally committed. They haven't committed those areas in their life that they hold private, that our areas of disobedience. So sometimes big changes in life start with a challenge, and I think that's what happened to me. And actually, when I did that, when I told the Lord that I would present my body a living sacrifice and no longer hold areas back, that was really the change that brought our marriage back together. So I'm just going to throw that challenge out to you. Maybe somebody listening to this needs to hear that, needs to think about, yeah, I'm saved, but am I really obedient to the Lord in all things? And maybe it's time that you go to chapter 12 of Romans and present your body a living sacrifice. Make that commitment to the Lord. Make Him the Lord of all your life. And one thing I can tell you for sure is that you won't be disappointed if you do that. God bless you, church.